wanted to outline the coyote using a thinned out burnt umber. This was to make sure that if I paint the surrounding areas, the outline of the coyote won't disappear under the paint. Here I outline the hillside in the background. I mixed burnt umber, yellow ochre, raw sienna, burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, quinacridone crystal magenta, and white to create a dark, earthy tone for the shadow of the hillside. To create highlights, I added more yellow ochre and white to the mixture. I roughly marked out the shadows and highlights of the hillside first to make sure I got the values right before adding any details. I added some bushes to the shadows of the hills. The bushes didn't have to be perfect because they were supposed to be out of focus. For the bushes that were hit by the sunset light, I first applied very dark shadows, followed by burnt sienna. For highlights, I used a mixture of yellow ochre, raw sienna, and cadmium chartreuse. The hillside on the left was completely illuminated by sunlight, so the bushes there would also have to be much brighter compared to those on the right. So for the shadows of these bushes, I used olive green, and for highlights, I mixed white with cadmium chartreuse. I realized right there that the bushes didn't work because the hillside was supposed to be far away and out of focus, but the bushes looked too big compared to the focal point, which was the coyote. This made the hillside appear much closer than intended. I would wait for the hillside to dry before fixing it. I continued working on the surrounding area. I painted a scrub right behind the coyote. I marked out the bush by painting some shadows mixed from olive green and alizarin crimson permanent. I used olive green mixed with sap green as the body color. For highlights, I added cadmium yellow light and a touch of white to the body color. I then painted some dry grass right behind the green bush. I used phthalo green and alizarin crimson permanent to mark out the shadows of the cactus bush on the right side of the canvas. Some parts of the cacti were catching the sunset light. For those parts, I created the highlights from using a mix of phthalo green, a touch of olive green, cadmium yellow light, and white. Some lower parts of the cacti were also catching the sun, but less than the others. For these parts, I used highlights mixed from phthalo green and white. I began repainting the hillside. I used the same color groups for the shadows and highlights of the bushes, just like earlier in the video. This time I made the bushes much smaller compared to the coyote. This pushed the hillside way further back. I painted another bush in front of the cactus bush. This bush was completely in the shadow, so I used cooler shades of green to depict it. I started working on the coyote. As the sun was shining from the right to the left, the back of the coyote was much darker than the front half. I used a mixture of ultramarine blue and burnt umber to mark the black patches, which I think was the very dark gray fur of the coyote on its back. For the rest of the back of the coyote, I added white to the mixture of ultramarine blue and burnt umber to make a lighter shade of gray. For the front, I mixed raw sienna and burnt sienna with yellow ochre and white to roughly mark out the fur. For these first coats of paint, I only use paint thinner to keep the layers very thin and to have them dry faster so I can add more layers on top. I started working on the second layer or possibly the third or fourth layer depending how it turned out. I use a dagger brush to create fur texture on the coyote's back. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. I felt the fur texture looked really stiff, so I just painted over it. This time I use a really small round brush to create softer fur texture on the back. For the front part of the coyote where the sun hits, I use a combination of yellow ochre, raw sienna, a touch of burnt sienna, light gray, and warm white to depict the fur color. Since the sun was hitting directly at the front, I needed colors that would look warm. I use a small round brush to create soft fur on the front part of the coyote. Since this was the first time I had ever painted wildlife or any types of animal, I found it challenging. That's why I find sketching very important. For me, creating a well-structured painting comes first, and then I can think about color mixing later. Getting the face structure correct is crucial to giving the animal its soul. I mix yellow ochre and warm white to create a mixture for the surrounding grass. I then roughly added some medium gray to shade the grass area. I use a pointed round brush to create some grass using yellow ochre and raw sienna. Let's take a look at the finished painting. Thank you for watching.